with the very latest equipment featured by the RAAF here in Australia. And coming right over here to open our air show right on time on the dot of 1 o'clock, we have the opening sequence of aircraft, which include the famous Tiger Moth, which you recognise up there. That's for the H-82. We have also the Windshield in the centre and the Sopwith Pup over on the left. I've got Dick Waddy, our very popular squadron mate down here, who's doing so much of the work behind this air show today, and if anybody knows his business about airplanes, Dick Waddy does. And Dick, you might just like to comment on those three aircraft for us.
Yes, thank you, Brian. The reason why we gave these aircraft the privilege of opening the show, they were each three basic trainers that have spanned the 70 years that flying training has taken place here at town. Those aircraft are used for marking enemy targets for ground attack mirage aircraft. This flight pass is demonstrating the passage of flying training here at Pontypool.
There will be many I won't call them old airmen, but senior airmen who'd be here.
And there followed is our present basic trainer, the CD4 Air Trainer. It was basically an Australian design.
Attention from what's happening over the field too much, but if you glance straight up to the north towards the city, you'll see 24 of those CD4 air trainers who are going to come over in a whole series of formations and really turn it all aglow, and this is going to be pretty impressive. Well, there's a mighty formation, everyone of the CD4 air trainer, right overhead.
It certainly is, Brian, and there it is winding up those two beautiful Avon engines. I've flown these aircraft throughout Australia and Southeast Asia, and I must admit to having a bit of a love affair with them. This is one of our museum aircraft here. It's almost in flying condition. You can certainly taxi it, and we'd love to fly it for you. Flight Lieutenant Roderick is about to release his brakes. He'll roll up to about 90 knots, the runway, and then abort. We'll have another display of one of these of our vintage flying aircraft. There he is. He's pulled the throttles back to idle. He'll slow down and stop, hopefully, before he falls into the bay.
And I suppose the thing that most people would be fairly aware of, as distinct from our airliners, Dick, the difference here being that that's all it has to brake. And if you look out to the right,
Jack Lynch here with us, who's an old Mirage pilot himself, and apart from F-111s and Sabres, it's one of his favourite aircraft. It's slowing down where he loads the aircraft very slowly.
What sort of rate a minute would he be going up there at, Jack?
He'll be doing about 20,000 plus feet a minute. He's done now the last half of the lift, and he'll be coming now back from the lift into an inverted path where he roll the aircraft upside down, maintain his altitude. Till he's no nose up slightly. Fighters in the world.
What sort of G's were you?
5 to 6 G in these turns around here with the high speed.
Perhaps we should explain to the boys and girls and perhaps people who are not familiar with what we're talking about when we say G's. We're really meaning that he's sort of feeling the weight of about 5 or 6 times the weight of his own body being thrust into the seat.
He's going to pull back down. I believe he'll be doing an inverted pass, where this time he'll come down level out. Smoke on accelerating. Absolutely beautiful. Rolling inverted, holding inverted there. Things fairly slowly, doing one at a time, and then things get a little harder and harder. 3 just along. Through the air in front of you. Right now, it's holding right pitch. Not this one, it won't be a slow roll, it'll be a hesitation roll. 1, 2, 3. And he's going to reposition now for a rolling departure. And you can see him disappear straight up above your eyes, straight up to about 20,000 feet. Here he is coming in. High speed. Burner in.
You'll be able to gauge just how good you are at pulling an aeroplane up in very, very short time. Here it comes, he's poking that nose down, at the power wheel back, all those flaps down on the wings there, give him that extra drag and a little bit of extra lift he needs for this short performance landing. The gear down, and that thing is just crawling. Now just have a look and decide for yourself how many feet he takes from the time the wheels hit the ground to the time the aeroplane stops.
Screw that 9 out of 10, Brian. What do you think? I was going to give you 9.5, Dick, but then you know I'm probably just here to be impressed. Right, well you don't often see this happening. He's managed to land in his small paddock and back up. With a bit of luck he'll take off and show us a little more of how this aircraft can be handled.
What are we talking about in terms of horsepower in these two engines here, Dick, just in round figures?
I'm afraid I can't answer that one, Brian. I'm a jet man myself. Reciprocating engines have always remained a bit of a mystery to me, but I've managed, I would guess, there's many thousands of horsepower.
sort of multiplied a bit, haven't they, since we last spoke with you? What's happening now is that all those CD4s that you saw coming over in that mountain's back to roost, and they're all coming to land, so the whole vertical sky is being filled up with CD4 trainers as they sweep overhead. Now sweep down, you can see them going down the back of the airfield now, line astern, and they're all popping in one after the other to land here, so... As he's action to be known in the RAAF quarters, and he joined the service in January 1969. He graduated from the academy in 1972. He's flown Mirages and CD4s for 3 years. Perhaps I might get Dick Waddy to give you just a little rundown on the sequence of events that you'll be seeing from him.
Thank you, Brian. I just missed where he is exactly in the display. I'll catch up with it.
One of our problems, Dick, is that we have a solid roof house here. You'll probably see a lot more outside than we are in here, but there he goes. He's coming down now out of a dive right in front of you, Dick.
That was a wing over. He's positioning, and I have some sort of indication that this he's doing a slow roll, very similar to the RAAF, just quite a bit slower. From this he should go to a stall turn. Yes, there he goes, a stall turn to the left. Spider has just finished a loop, and he should maneuver now for a wing over to the right. And this should be converted bypass. He's going to a band. By departing, yawing similar to the one you saw in the calendar, and yawing
And direction up at the northern end of the...
Yes, John, this will be very similar to what you saw in the camp form. It's another one of our vintage music.
The northern end of the field, this famous Dakota. DC3, as many of us know. And he's going to do very much as we saw earlier. Heel abort, which he's doing now, pulling the power off.
Over at about 300 knots. You're sitting about 300 knots pulling up. And he'll do a wing over to the left. Drop to Hercules.
people that do travel on the Hercules, for Air Force people anyway, the comfort may not be quite as good as A300 Airbus, but the price is certainly right.
Also noted, as we've seen on many occasions in film from various parts of the world,
As you understand, Brian, the previous to us at the moment, the undercarriage is coming down, and it'll come fast. It's about 35 degrees to front, but there's an undercarriage now.
Quite remarkable sight on the ground. Whoever designed them was very good at his mathematics, I always felt, Jack, because there's not a lot of room between the underside of the fuselage and the terrain when they're sitting on the deck.
That's right, you actually think that they'd have trouble on some of them.
Demonstrate some of the grand old airplanes out there. There's a couple of announcements we'd like to make.
Very early aircraft and their pilots, because this really is very much part of a birthday celebration. 70 years since this RAAF base here at Point Cook commenced operations, and very appropriate that we should be seeing some of the planes from yesteryear taking part in this great celebration. And what a tribute it is to these.
And it was interesting to note the acceptance test flying of that particular aircraft was done by then Squadron Leader Jim Rowland, who was one of our early test pilots of that era, who's now presently 150 knots of indicated airspeed. In those days there wasn't a fighter to touch it, hence it's never been armed with guns, because when it went into service it didn't need guns to defend itself. In fact, they still flew operationally in the Battle of the Falklands recently. Not quite with the success they would have enjoyed in the earlier days. However, I've flown them until about this time last year, and I enjoyed shaking off the odd mirage in mock combat. Canberra departs to the south, into the middle distance, you'll see out in front of you on the runway a Pilatus Porter from our compatriots in the Army.
Very much better than this one, will you? It's renowned for its ability to get off in no time at all.
Certainly, Brian. Ian Smith has now released his brakes, and in the length of your backyard, he's airborne at a short field takeoff with a max performance climb on 10. Mr. Compliment that shortly. He'll show us just how steep it will approach. Ian Smith demonstrates a beta approach, demonstrating just how steep and short this aircraft can be landed.
There he is, and all that reverse thrust, how about that? I mean, that's about 2.5 plane lengths, and trying the little caribou trick again of reversing backwards, which he would need to do with some care, I would think, with that little tail drag wheel at the back there. Because anything too violent there, I think, would give that a bit of a headache. There he goes. Have a look at this for a short field takeoff, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. About, what, 3 plane lengths, I suppose, and straight up.
Do what's called a roll under pitch. Pull up. Rolling all the way around to the right, coming around. And you'll see the wings move forward, highlighted silhouetted against the sky. When the wings get all the way forward, he'll put his undercarriage down. He'll configure the aircraft and do a slow, configured approach.
I tell you, everyone, that Wing Commander Jack Lynch is giving you this expert commentary on this aircraft, and we just couldn't find anybody who could do it better. Was very much involved in a lot of the initial research work in the reconnaissance version of this F-111, and perhaps you could tell us a bit about that, Jack, while you're doing the general commentary.
Okay, I'll put that in shortly, Brian. He's coming in. He's doing about 130 knots here, with the undercarriage down, all his flaps down, leading edge slats. He'll hold this for a short while and then pull up. Afterburner there, about 36,000 pounds of thrust punching out the back of those afterburners there. Undercarriage up, you can see the speed brake door, and the undercarriage door is actually the speed brake door that helps to slow the airplane down. F-111. Here he is coming in for a slow, beautiful roll. Slowly does that. To 10,000 feet. Filling up. Okay, he's maneuvering the aircraft up over the top of the loop, watching his speed, accelerating as he comes down the hill. Put the speed brake out, and he's just pulled that in. There you can see the water vapor high load there. An inverted pass. The left-hand turn down along the runway. Turn the aircraft inverted. Once again, a really unusual sight to see a great big strike aircraft like this. Inverted, holding this thing.
watch it when it goes up there again.
Okay, he's going to do a 70 degrees, so high angle attack turn. You can see the flames of the afterburners out the back. An afterburner system just throws more fuel into the rear end of the jet engine to give extra thrust, and I think that as he goes by. Here it's just a roll to finish it off and say goodbye to you. Back to you, right?
A sleek and jiggly piece of machinery with its wings swept right back to the full extent. As he departs on his way back to Avalon Airfield from whence he came, and we told you that was the red one that's just taking off now. And the Sopwith Pup rolling off behind him, flown by John Pettit of Geelong. He's the aircraft owner. He's got a great background in anterior early days of aerial combat, and what a different scene it is. You'll even notice on the little Sopwith Pup there we have the little machine gun. My goodness me.
Head aircraft, please. And suppose he's having a go at the top, right?
My goodness me, you could have been
The stolen CD-4 is turning back past the tail. Someone obviously... Oh, look at this fellow, will you, Brian? We're going to have to somehow try and get this fellow down before he does some damage. I think what we're going to have to do, we'll have to launch those Mustangs down at the end of the strip and see if we can get him down.
Well, they'd be just the boys to do it, Jack. I mean, I was wondering what they were doing down there, and my goodness, just as well we have this sort of preparedness with them now, for these sort of contingencies. I mean, this man, we've got a madman up here at the controls.
Well, the Mustangs are rolling now. It shouldn't be too long now. They'll be able to get him down fairly quickly, I think. They may well have to shoot him down, Brian, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, goodness me, I mean, this is action we were never anticipating here. I mean, we said it was going to be an air show with everything, but goodness me, a runaway aircraft, Mustangs in pursuit. Goodness, this could well be a change in career, Brian, couldn't it? Yes, well, what a joy. These Mustangs have a career, and if we can just, for 1 second, leave. He's not looking too healthy now.
Okay, looks like this fellow's, the Mustang's coming in again, lining him up. Sounds like both of them are trying to get at him. Okay, he's in a bit of a spiral dive there, Brian. I'm not sure what's happened. He looks as if he's down. That's certainly a relief.
I think you've spoken too soon, Jack.
Yeah, I hope we've got some security guards here that can go out and grab this fellow. Look, he doesn't have a helmet or anything on there, Brian. He's understrapping. I think he's going to try and run away. Look at that.
Of the SPA-2 action. Neptune has both jets and reciprocating engines, and there it is going into reverse and porting. In Greek mythology, Neptune, of course, is the great king of the sea, and his son, Orion, is our second generation.
You seem to be quite an historian in this Orion Neptune bit. I think you better continue.
Thanks, Brian. And there she is, the son of his experience, and his co-pilot is Flight Lieutenant Laurie Taylor. Three squadrons currently fly the P3 Orion in Australia, these being number 11 Squadron flying the P3B, the earlier version of this aircraft, number 10 Squadron flying this aircraft that you see today, and number 292, which is the training squadron at Edinburgh. The maritime operations of the Orion have become more and more diverse over the search and rescue is one of the major roles performed by 92 Wing. Known to the public, however, the capabilities these aircraft have of searching for submarines can be put to peaceful use, looking for ships and people in distress at long range at sea. The Wing provides one crew and one aircraft on 1 hour standby.
It was, but I will introduce to you in a few moments somebody I know you'll be interested to hear from. We have one engine feathered. You'll notice the extreme port engine, the number 1 engine on the aircraft, has been feathered, as the term is. It simply means that the blades of the propeller have been turned right around through about 90 degrees, so they're actually at knife edge into the wind to reduce the drag. This is in the event, of course, of an engine failure. You
engines, and quite happily fly on the remaining 2, and hence increase their endurance. As you'll notice, that engine is unfeathering now, and will just air start and operate normally again.
Be commended for the presentation of these beautiful old birds, and I use that word old with great affection, Brian.
Well, you were seeing, Pete, a magnificent piece of fishtailing. We saw this being demonstrated 2 or 3 previous occasions this afternoon, but my goodness me, he was really throwing some rudder into those fishtails there and showing, again, the enormous versatility of the modern-day aeroplane. They have this inbuilt design, of course, whereby
it should not be tried by young aspiring pilots. Although you can yaw aircraft around like that if you know what you're doing, it is quite close to the limits of the performance envelope of the aircraft. Pilots practice flying at the limits of their ability. I wouldn't recommend any young fellas in my aircraft trying to do the same thing. The lead aircraft was flown by Group Captain Roger Lowry, Executive Officer of RAAF Base Williamtown and also a current Mirage pilot. The second aircraft is owned and flown by Squadron Leader Jeff Trappett from number 1 Squadron. Group Captain Lowry's aircraft in the vintage of Spitfires, and certainly, to my mind, look as beautiful as the Spitfire as well. Here we are again rolling in on another simulated ground attack pass. And I think beautifully, right on target. That tank right up the face of the earth. Exactly like that. There's a high-speed run, 300 knots plus. He's pulling up into all.
you tend to do a fair bit of drill. These machines are special about them, I think. Poor Jack, how marvellous it is that so many of these are in the...
And a lot of effort goes into flying the airplane to its limits. Should be doing a slow roll. There's the slow roll.
to do this maneuver to that fox. This is the 4-point hesitation roll. Sorry. Pulling up. This one may roll do the Immelman. Pulls up just as if he's going to do a loop, and then we'll roll off the top of the loop. Here you can see him rolling wings level at the top of the loop.
The aircraft at that point of time will be all cleaned up, no flaps down. He's coming in now, straight over the top. There it is, the A300 Airbus from TOA. He'll be whistling along there at around about 240 unclean configuration. All the gear down, landing gear, slots out, forward on the wings, flaps down at the back. And doing this low-level run just at about 200 feet. Not too often we get a chance to watch these beautiful commercial airliners hurling along in front of you at that altitude. Power levers going forward in the cockpit as he climbs out. I'm going to ask Peter Mann if he'd join me here, and I'll have a little breather for a moment, and he can tell you about all the action with the pits.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, about 1,500 feet, the pits begin their manoeuvres by making a very, very nice and tidy climb into the heaven. Up and over the top, down the other side to complete the loop. The smoke canisters trailing make a very pretty picture on that very soft grey cloud at the moment as aircraft reach stall, turn to the left, and gather airspeed as they begin their move down. To the top there to the full stall position. And just tumbling out of the sky what looked to be a long Shevik there for 1 or 2 moments, which is a very, very difficult maneuver to fulfill. Knife edge pass over the field. And an outside turn. Pilot's eyeballs are proceeding to pop towards the top of his skull. The pit specials inverted in that particular mover as they roll over the top together. Another climb to the top of the hill there, ladies and gentlemen, and running out of airspeed and coming down on separating courses. Now a crossover pass. And those fabulous, spectacular torque rolls, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the full Lomshevik, ladies and gentlemen. Almost a situation where the aeroplane is another one over the top.
I don't know about you, Pete, but I constantly watch these guys doing these things at air shows, and I just do not know how any human body can stand what is going on in that cockpit. Have you had those sort of reflections yourself?
Yes, I have actually, Brian, and when you...
We should not for one moment underestimate the unbelievable strains that are being placed on the body with those very, very violent manoeuvres. It's one thing to have 5...
And when we say a 5G pull, we mean that if you can measure your own body weight, multiply that 5 times, that's the feeling you have in your stomach at the bottom of one of those loops. Your own personal weight multiplied 5 times. It feels like somebody has got a sledgehammer and hit you right in the breadbasket. Don't they make a pretty picture, ladies and gentlemen? Victor Klein, Ron Aspen and Ken McKechnie. And ladies and gentlemen, the pit specials getting close to their farewell loop as they go up over the top and separate.
He's doing about 400 knots in the pull up there. He'll top out at 5,000 feet, roll underneath, and he'll come back into pilot. Turning around into his beautiful, graceful, steep turn. Over, and at the front line through the 70s, the Mirage took over, and the Sabre and the Mirage were both flown. Here's this beautiful machine again coming through, and he should pull up off this one. Pulling up into a loop. Pull the wings. Pull up. And there's the top of the roll. Level out, 300 plus knots. Nose up. He also has tricked me. That was not a 4-point hesitation roll. It was just a quick over-on roll. Okay, there's the hesitation roll. Momentarily at each point 90 degrees around the roll. You can see the speed brakes. Such as we have here today. A beautiful, graceful aircraft, right?
They don't come much more beautiful, Jack, I agree.
I think he's going to pull up and wave goodbye to you off this.
Taking off before your very eyes there, Australia's own aircraft at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Really has some quite remarkable characteristics in relation to its ability to take off in a very, very short distance and likewise land in a very short distance, as you would have observed during the takeoff. Here he's got it all nice and cleaned up, scooting along at a very healthy rate.
Flying there by, and your grand old aeroplanes, the 4 Tiger Moths, they're probably only doing about 60 knots there, and it's not easy to hang in formation.
You might just be able to get a little insight into some of their past. One of them, the number 1 aircraft, is flown by Bill Goldstraw, skillmaster from Croydon. He's got about 1,500 hours flying over about 20 years on light aircraft. The number 2 aircraft is flown by Anthony James, a businessman from Heidelberg. He's president of the Antique Aeroplanes Association of Australia. The 3rd aircraft, piloted by David Allen, a solicitor from Paran. And the 4th aircraft by John Pettit. And John, of course, was involved in our little display there before with the Snoopy and the Red Baron manoeuvre. And he's from Geelong.
He's pulling the aircraft up to 1,300 feet. From whence he'll enter auto-rotation, which is the manoeuvre that is carried out by a helicopter should its engine Ogden shows us how it's done, how safe it is if should you lose an engine, and how... And there we go with the test pilot from the broom factory suspended beneath us, and he's off. Sergeant Highland, 5 Squadron crewman, Loadmaster, showing you...
Just Craig. Craig?
On the leader's left, roulette 3, Flight Lieutenant Tex McKenzie, he's married from Queensland, and on the extreme left, Flight Lieutenant Steve Carter, also married from Sydney. Right sail. Pulling up this time for a loop in the rhombus formation. The speed at the bottom there, around about 600 kilometres an hour, and back to about 150 kilometres an hour at the top. Good opportunity to take a couple of photographs in rhombus formation. Formation. Turning to the left and pulling up in a wing over down to the south. The remaining four have formed the box formation. If you keep watching them, they'll aim to perform the manoeuvre we call thread the needle. Keep watching the soloists.
How about a round of applause for that lot, ladies and gentlemen? That's really something, isn't it?
And pulling up for a barrel roll. Tex will do a steep turn out in front of us to the right and depart back overhead. About as sideways as you can get a Maggie. Look up to the north. Guess I owe him a beer. Remaining four, hopefully be in position for a swan barrel roll by the time.
Look through it and give him.
Andy's made it. A swan barrel roll. As they wing over to the left, the turn will change into King's Cross an hour at the bottom. And 7 feet tip clearance at this point. Here comes the cascade. The end of the formal part of the show, ladies and gentlemen.